Hello, this is Wmpyr, back again on the kotatsu, the Japanese style table. So thank you for joining me. And in the back, you can see the fireplace going on. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about some random stuff. Today, I was looking up some interesting videos on YouTube. It was these people that they ordered these mystery boxes, not from Amazon or eBay, but actually from the dark web. So it was pretty fascinating to watch. It was quite interesting. It was crazy stuff coming out. And anyway, I think it'd be kind of cool to talk about like some of the, I don't want to say dark web stuff because I don't do that, but like um the darker side of YouTube, or should I say the more obscure YouTube channels regarding martial arts, and talk about those channels and talk about, maybe some of my experiences, maybe even interacting with some of those people, and whatnot. So maybe I'll make a video on that in the future if you guys think that might be interesting. But for right now, I got an email from one of my viewers, and I'm gonna try to keep some people. They like it when I mention their name on a video because it's like a shout out, right? And other people, they probably don't like it. So I don't know about this one. So I'm just going to keep it anonymous and with all respect to the person because I didn't tell them that I was going to do this and stuff. So I just think this is a very good opportunity for people to learn from this. Like there's a good stuff that I could cover here. So yeah, without trying to embarrass the person or anything like that, just trying to keep it respectful. Let me go into a little bit. So this person signed up for a self-defense class, and the style happened to be Kenpo. And they're struggling that the first move is that they were told to do. So in a self-defense situation, person's being aggressive with you, um, and you don't want to be there or whatever, and they might even be coming at you. So at that point, the instructor must have told this person the first thing you do is eye poke. Okay, so the person's finding that to be a little too much to do. They can't find it in their heart to try to hurt another human being, even if the other human being is being hostile. That they feel like they're too nice to do that. That there's internal breaks, I guess, from being cruel and ruthless, like so. Okay, and they're wondering, can that behavior be changed? Can that mentality? And I guess they're thinking that probably not. That's the way they're hardwired. So if you're that kind of person, you're just not going to be able to do that. So the technique doesn't feel right for them and whatnot. And the other thing is, the second move that they were working on involves manipulating the wrist joints, and I guess it says bending the elbow and holding the hand at the shoulder level and twisting to put the person on the ground. So maybe something along the lines of a standing wrist lock, joint lock. And the person felt like they just kind of don't see themselves being able to pull this off, especially if the opponent is going to be bigger, stronger, and larger. Of course, I understand these concerns. So anyway, they don't want to be disrespectful and whatnot. So yeah, they're just, but they don't want the false sense of confidence. So once again, makes total sense. Here's my carrot juice. Sometimes it's not the most great tasting of things, but I mix it with a ton of water. Anyway, anyway, so there's a lot of things covered here. So the first thing is, can you change? Like if you're a nice person and a bad guy's about to attack you or something, and in order for you to defend yourself, you have to fight them off, and in order to do that, you kind of have to be a fighter, I guess. You have to be able to get ready to go to the mud and dig down dirty and deep kind of thing. So if that's not in you, can that be learned? And so some people will tell you, either you're born a fighter or you're not. I believe that you can train that, and you can change your wiring, so to speak. I absolutely believe it. Your instructor may not know how to do that for you. Either way, it will take some time, but I think it first begins with you um, understanding it, making peace with it, and wanting it. So if you want it enough, you can change it. Now, will you ever become the viciousness and ruthlessness at the level of, like, someone who is born that way, or someone who has been in a very, very bad environment? Probably not. But can you change yourself and through training and practice to make yourself a little bit more violent than you normally are for the purpose of self-defense? Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe so. The other thing is, you gotta first, it has to make sense to you. Right now, from reading this email, it seems like you're not cool with it. So if you're not cool with it, you're not going to do it. It has to make sense. So how can you make sense of it? Well, the first thing I have to ask you is, let's understand the difference between just being cruel for cruelty's sake and being just taking care of the job, at task. You have to, no one's gonna do it for you, so you got to do it. So is that what you're doing? Are you taking charge of your life, or are you just being cruel? So, for example, if you don't curb stomp a guy's head, so I know, just for those of you that don't know what curb stomping is, imagine a person's head is, on the curb of a sidewalk, and if you stomp their head that way, I mean, they could get really, really, really hurt, right? So if you don't curb stomp this person, they're going to come after your child or your loved one, your family member, whatever. So you got to do it. So if that's the situation you're in and you don't do it, it's kind of like, in a way, you were irresponsible, or in a way, then now they're going to attack your child, and you could have stopped it and you didn't. So you almost enabled them to attack your child. So if you view it that way, it's nothing personal. You got to do it. So I think that's very, very important to understand that, and to have the strength and courage to do that. It has nothing to do with kindness, in my opinion. In fact, if you don't do it, then I'm not going to say you're unkind, but I would say that you're weak then, because it should be your duty to protect your child. So then it's not cruel or uncruel, it's either weak or strong. So you need to be strong for your kid, strong for your loved one, and defend them. So then it's not a matter of cruelty. When a lion attacks a gazelle in the wilderness, most of the time they're doing it because it's survival. So then in that case, even though what they're doing may be very, very violent and eating them alive or whatever, it's actually not cruel. It's not violent in a way of just being violent for violence sake. It's survival. So if you view it that way, I think it should help you out. Now compare that to, now that you got to define and really think about, what does it truly mean to be truly kind, and what does it truly mean to be really cruel? So, once again, a kind person to me is not necessarily a doormat. If you're a doormat and just let people walk all over you, to me that has nothing to do with kindness. Once again, that's weakness. So cruelty is you curb stomp a guy's head when the person was clearly defeated and unconscious or whatever, and you didn't have to do that. And you could have just walked away and everything's cool, but you decide to go walk over there and curb stomp the guy on the head just because you can, just because you might even enjoy that. Then that's cruelty. That's totally different from the first case scenario. Even though the move and the result may be exactly the same, the circumstance to me completely change. So, that's why I said it has to make sense to you in your brain. So I know that when I'm on the street and if someone attacks me, I know that I'm a law-abiding citizen, that I'm a nice guy. So if this person's attacked me, then I know 100% they are the predator. So then I know I don't have to be nice, because I kind of, I want to be legal, but I kind of believe that, well, then they 100% instigated it. They were 100% trying to make me a victim. So then, I don't have to self-doubt myself. I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have any of those things. I know I represent the average person walking down the street. And if they were going to attack me, then that could have been anybody, So there's no doubt there. The next thing is the technique itself, gouging somebody in the eyes. I don't know the specifics of the technique that you were taught, but if that is something that you cannot do halfway. If you do it halfway, like you're attacking their eyes, but you're not going full force, and you're not fully committed, then it could put you in a bad situation. So it's almost in a way, because like you might green light to the other person, hey, I'm gonna fight this dirty. I'm like attacking the eyes, I'm doing it, even though you're not doing it at 100%. You just told the other person, I'm down with that. Like I could do it to you. So then they might go, oh, you want to go there? Okay, and you could make it worse. You can escalate things. So if you're going to do that, you need to do it 100% fully committed. Now, if the idea of that bothers you, the cool thing is, like with the techniques that I was showing with the Heaven Six and stuff, there are ways to attack the eyes, even with, like, while their eyes are closed. So you're actually doing it over the eyelid, so you don't have to deal with the eyeball itself and the squishiness and the gory details. You don't have to do that. You could still attack the eyes over the eyelid. In the primitive MMA, which was called Valetudo. I mean, there were matches where the guy actually put their chin on top of the other person's eyelid and just smushed onto the eye. And then afterwards, the person had temporarily had trouble seeing for a while, but I think it went away. But yeah, it was enough to make a really tough person. In this case, it happened in the Absolute Championships in Russia. Igor Vovchanchin, who was a monster, he tapped out to that. There was another fight in Brazil that I saw. It was Mark Hall, I think. Yeah, I believe he did it and tapped out to a guy. So I'm just saying there's techniques like that where you could go on top of the eye. You're not necessarily trying to dig in, scoop it out, and pull it out and rip it out. You don't have to necessarily go there. Okay, is what I'm saying. Okay, so the next thing is the wrist lock itself. The wrist escapes, I think, are very valuable. Because a person can grab you, try to pull you into their van, or things like that, or that's more like that's a kidnapping. But in other situations, it may be more like harassment. So like a guy is trying to force a girl to do something and she doesn't really want to, and it's not violent yet, but he's come on, and he's just really sticky and pushy. People like that they don't get no, they don't get it. And I really hate people like that. But anyway, so they're grabbing your wrist and they're trying, come on, peer pressure or whatever, right? So in that case, it would be nice to have a wrist escape. I've used it in real life, So that to me is cool. It's not necessarily you're putting them into a lock and taking them all the way down. It's just for you to get out of the situation. And to this day, I still have that, and I will use it if I'm ever in a situation like that. So those to me are valuable. To put someone in a wrist lock and to submit or destroy their joint from there, standing joint locks are very, very difficult to do. First of all, I think knowledge-wise they're great. Study-wise, they're good. So you could learn from all of it, but immediate usage-wise, like for self-defense right away, I don't recommend it. The way that it's taught 90% of the time, I don't think it would be practical. And I'm not trying to go against your instructor or anything like that. I don't know the person. I'm just saying from my experience, my personal style, Standing joint locks, extremely difficult. Just put on any MMA match. It's standing joint locks. They're far and few in between, and there's ways to put it on, and the ones that do get put on, a lot of times they're going back and forth from the ground, or they're pressed up against the cage. So without any of that, to just get a standing joint lock, whether it's wrist, finger, elbow, shoulder, it's very, very difficult is all I have to say. Once again, good for studying. I'm sure the material is probably good. It's just I would stick with the wrist escapes rather than attacking the wrist and putting them out like so. And the other thing, the last point of advice that I would say is just that whatever you learn, if you don't agree with it or whatever, that's fine, right? That's fine. I wouldn't be so vocal about it in class. In class, you just learn it, and then every time you go to class, they might go, okay, we're going to practice this again, and you might be going, oh, that technique, I don't really care for that technique. You know what? You're in the class. Just go through the motions, do it, right? But at home, you can do whatever you want. So you can modify it. In fact, you should modify it, make it suit you. And that's the whole point of this video, is I'm trying to give you tips to help you modify it to make it work for you, whether it's over the eyelid or mentally it needs to click for you, or the same with the wrist lock. Now I'm saying, why don't you focus on wrist escapes? They're similar. They're quite, in order to escape, you might have to kind of start putting them into a lock. You just don't expect to hold on and break it, because a lot of times in these schools, the break part it's taught so easily. Okay, you do this break. It shatters their bone. This will dislocate that, and it's like, honestly, it's not that easy. It's very, very difficult to do in real life when the opponent is fully resisting you and stuff. They're bigger than stronger than you. They caught you off guard, under stress, under pressure. It just makes things infinitely more difficult. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, I hope this video helps. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and take care, folks.